We're going. Hello everyone, we are back from the beach discussing the future here and some selected readings, some of Michael's favorite readings here in collaboration and navigating organizations and change. So yeah, what do you think, Michael? Can you give some overview of these books?
Yeah, this is some of my favorite books. I have a lot more books than this, but this is the book I have in paper.
Okay.
But I usually listen to audiobooks, and here I have my lightsaber as well, the Captain Future lightsaber. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so show some books here and you have a lot of books.
I have a lot of books. I listen to a lot of books, podcasts, and YouTube talks. So this is some of my favorite books. This is very important in times of crisis and times of change that many people now experience. You and I, we've been thinking about this daily for the last couple of years. How do we navigate the complex changing society that's going to face crises like the corona crisis? And this is not the first, and it's certainly not the last crisis we're going to face together as humanity.
Yeah. I'll start with some books here.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with The Seven Sense. Joshua Kutarna's Power, Fortitude and Survival in the Age of Networks. Mm-hmm. This is about how do you navigate a global networked society that we live in today. Mm. So he called this The Seven Sense. He takes this from Nietzsche, coined the concept of the sixth sense during the turmoil of the French Revolution and everything. He said that we have had to develop a sixth sense to get a sense of history and what's going on in society. Mm. And that was very current up because nobody could see it coming, they said, but if you had studied history, you could have seen it coming. Mm. And then noblemen and everyone who lost their heads in France and everything that was in turmoil, they could have seen it coming if they had studied history and human nature. Mm. And this is also what he calls the seventh sense. Now we have a network global world. It started. I'm going to go into this.
Yeah, we can take first a quick round of all this book, and you have many more, but we selected a few of them, and then we can go a bit deeper into a few of your favorites.
Yeah, this is the one book that was one of the started my journey. I read this 2011, and
can you hold it?
Reality is Broken by Jane McGonigal, and that's what started questioning my role at my company. And what are we doing in society, what is motivation, and how do we play society together? So this is a book that started my journey in 2011 when I quit my job and went to the journey of becoming Captain Future.
Yeah.
And we have The Nordic Secret by Thomas Björkman and Lena Rachel Andersen.
Yeah.
It's about the building journey. How did we educate and learn adult people to think in Sweden, Norway, Denmark during 100 years ago. That took us of some of the poorest countries in the world to some of the best educated and richest. And we top many indexes in happiness and innovation now, thanks to this journey that we took 100 years ago.
150 maybe.
150 to 100 years. And The Myth Gap is about Alex Evans from UK, who tells us the importance of understanding storytelling when you change the world and change organizations. Fantastic book if you're interested in storytelling. Out of the Wreckage, George Monbiot's book. It's a fascinating book at what the opportunity is now in a time of crisis. This and Margaret Weed's, I'm not here. Who Do We Choose to Be? These are two books if you're interested in change throughout history and change in society. So these and Margaret Weed's books are fantastic. Key Person of Influence, Daniel Priestley's fantastic book on entrepreneurship. This has been my guiding book of becoming Captain Future. How do I become a key person of being a futurist and the captain I am today? So this is a fantastic handbook if you want to become the go-to person in your niche or field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be interesting to hear more about later as well.
I did a whole video with Rihanna of that. So I've met Daniel several times in London, so he's fantastic. Team Human, Douglas Rushkoff, who also met in London last year. He has written many good books, but this is the latest. And it's about the world we're living in now. How do we join Team Human he was coined on stage. Someone said, "I'm on team AI" or something, a futurist, and then Douglas Rushkoff stand up and said, "I'm certainly not on team AI. I'm on team human." And then he went home and wrote a book about it. So how do we connect the world in a human way? So very good. He explains how money works in a good way, and it's even better than the last book, Throwing Rocks at the Google Bus. So you're interested in a good explanation how money and the economy works. There's a big, great short section on that. Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth. Buckminster Fuller's book. He wrote this 51 years ago, and it's a call for us to become crew members of Spaceship Earth. We should treat our planet like a ship, a sailing ship with finite resources, or a spaceship, or whatever we call it. And if it's a ship, we have to start acting like crew members and not spoiled passengers on a cruise ship. But this is a Spaceship Earth is a ship where everyone is a crew member, and we work for our own survival here on our planet, because we're not going to leave it in the foreseeable future. We're stuck here, and we have to make it work, and we have to develop the mindset of becoming crew members. Big Mind, Geoff Mulgan's great book on collective intelligence. This is what the world we're going into now, like a networked society, when we actually can think, innovate, and change together. So how do we make use of the power of networks to create this collective intelligence, the big mind? Well, we actually, because there's a great quote, I don't think it's in this book, but we humans can't really think for ourselves. We can only think in groups, and that's what we have to do. The thing we're doing, live videos, Zoom calls, the things that suddenly become apparent, that we can connect the world and we can think together. And of course, we have this tomb. What does it sound like when you change your mind? Seth Godin's. I read most of his books. This is a big tomb of collection of his best blog posts.
And how does it sound when it changes your mind?
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like the music we just heard in the beginning. Yeah. It was a song by B&B Nature, a T-shirt, and the song name is "When Is the Future?" And the future is just around the corner, and the future is a direction. So it's not something that will arrive. It's a choice. The future is a choice we make today to go in a direction into tomorrow. So.
Yeah. I think we have 2-3 more books maybe of this selected.
Peter Block, Community, your favorite book.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us. You are more familiar with this.
Yeah, I will go a bit in later, but I mean, it's all about belonging. So
belonging, yeah.
And I think especially in the times of what we are today, when people are a bit scared of the future or don't know what to do, then community is that's really what's keeping us together as a society, and belonging is the key there. So it's all about belonging and how you build communities in this book. It's fantastic. Peter Block, world-famous organization theorist.
There's a good video talk with him. We can share that as well.
Yeah.
And we have Thomas Björkman's books, The World We Create, and the handbook that some other people, let's see what their name, Mark Darwell and Björn Larsson wrote. A handbook that is from that large book that says Changing the World We Create. And it's a small handbook of what are the things we have to think about today. And here's check it out. There's a sum up here somewhere, and this is the skills. It's connected with every book here on this table is connected in some way. We have to think of the view of ourselves, our view of the world, our view of our mind, our view of society, and the view of our lives. This is a few key areas that we have to develop a skill set and a knowledge and talents around. What is it to be human? So this is a good handbook if you want to find out more about the next step now, especially in Corona time virus. This is a good book.
And go maybe into some of your favorites.
Yeah, this is two of my favorites. I will go deeper into this. So, 7 Sense and the Age of Discovery. This is a fantastic book. I read it 3.5 times now, and we just watched a lecture with Ian Goldin before her. This is by Ian Goldin and Kutarna, and they wrote the book comparing the change that took place in society after the Black Death, and what happened that triggered the Renaissance, and it triggered the search for answers, and the book printing took part. Before we had book printing, very few selected elites had access to books and knowledge. But when that happened, they printed 50 million books on a process of 25 million books on a period of 50 years after the book printing. So it exploded the amount of books and the knowledge available to people. And many of the early books they printed was the old classics from Plato, Socrates and stuff. So the old Greek philosophical work, people were treasure hunting all over the world for these original manuscripts and started translating them and printing them.
Yeah. And what's the message? What will you find out if you read this book?
It's the thing we do, navigating the wards and the risk of our new renaissance. What is happening in society today? What are the risks and what are the possibilities? How do we develop a mindset, what we call a navigator mindset in this, to explore this new world? So these books are connected together. So how do a networked world with a lot of crises? Thomas Björkman goes into what he called the meta crisis. It's a climate crisis, it's a cognition crisis, the meaning crisis that John Mavike talks about. It's the pandemic crises that we now experience. It's the economic crisis of the last economic crash, bank crash, and economic crisis we're going to face as in the aftermath of this. That's already beginning. A lot of small businesses being put out thanks to this economic crisis. So how do we navigate all this, what Thomas Björkman called the meta crisis, all these crises put together? Why are these appearing now in a time where we are on the peak of our innovation and technology and science? Why haven't we fixed so many of our crises? Because we're thinking about it wrong as humans. We have to develop another way to organize ourselves as humans. So this is a great history books and also the learnings we can learn from the old Renaissance and take into our new society.
And why is it happening now? Maybe it's complicated, but
because we have a complex global society. Everything is now connected, and that means that there's cascade effects and system effects. So if you do one little change, like if you incentivize people, like take overfishing. If you pay people to take fish out of the sea, and then you give them better and better tools, sooner or later we're going to have so good tools as we have now, the large oceanic trawlers that vacuums the big oceans for fish, and the fish don't grow back. So this is a problem, because as a small fisher this is not a problem, but when you give people better and bigger tools, and they still have the same incentive to take every fish you can find, this becomes a global problem. And you can see this on a systemic level, but as a small fisher you can't see it in yourself that you are contributing to this systemic effect.
And what is the answer? So how do we come out of this?
So we have to, every person, every organization, every company has to become systemically aware of all the effects they have on our society and on the ecosystems around them. That is all the natural ecosystems and the societal ecosystems and the economic systems. This is what the 17 global goals are. How do we solve the economic sustainability, ecological sustainability, and societal sustainability? So you have to become aware of system effects. When you do something, what happens at the other end or the other side of the world when you do this? Even if it's you're a very small person, one of 7 billion people doing your little thing, but when you add up the actions of 7 billion people, it all escalates into stuff.
But it might be hard if you're not interested, or if you have your family life. So what's the remedy?
That's why this book is good, because this takes it down to a very, very enjoyable, very good writing and readable level. So if you're interested in just curious about history and stuff like this book explains it in a comprehensive way before you go into heavier books on this subject. So. So this is a more 7 Sense. This is a more philosophical book. I found it through my friend Stefan Hittfors, who recommended it to me 2016, I think, the summer, and I read it in 6 hours straight, and then I reread it and reread it. So I've read it 5 times now, and I listened to there's some good 2 good interviews with Joshua Kutarna when he explains what is the age of networks that we have had since we had the internet. But we have been networking people for a long time, social creatures that share share the benefits of collaboration. So if I help you, you help me, and stuff like that. But now we have escalated this into a global level, and we have for thousands of years have had a top-down society when the people, the elite in power, had made the laws and enforced them, and very few people at the bottom, farmers or slaves or mine workers, had anything to say how we run our society. But today thanks to internet, we can organize ourselves. It's what we call a network society, and we see both the benefits and all the systemic effects of this when people with bad agendas amplify bad stories over the world. We have like Trump here in Sweden. We have SD, and we have national movements all over Europe, and they also use the tool of internet to amplify their stories. So we have to understand what can happen when we have a peer-to-peer society that is networked instead of top-down, when people at the top tell you what to do. And then now people can start organizing in a way that is uncontrollable. People in power can't control our thoughts and our collaboration. If you're not China, that trying very hard to control this, but there's still network effects going on under the surface because they have the internet too, and they have and once you have opened Pandora's box, this people become educated and aware and get knowledge. You get network effects, and we have to use this knowledge that we call the seven sense. How do we understand the interconnectedness of all things? When we connect people to cars, we get effects like Uber, Airbnb as a network effect that we could have foreseen and made big, good or bad decisions about. So the more people who come aware of what happens when we connect people, ideas, devices, cars, internet, computers, supercomputers, stories foremost, like ISIS is an effect of the network society. ISIS wouldn't have been possible without this distributed network society, because they couldn't spread the ideas and stuff fast enough, not using internet. So and we have to understand this to make a better society, and we have to develop what he calls the seven Cs. The thing that you...
Yeah. And we had a very good talk yesterday and today, and you see there.
My life.
You went, so tell a bit about yourself. You went online 93, I think. So you have
1993, yes.
Yeah.
So I studied innovation and engineering program here, and I went onto the internet, and I was really interested in Star Wars and gaming back then. So I found this was before World Wide Web, so it came a year later or something. I found a news group, and I started hanging news group discussing Star Wars, Star Trek, and gaming. And I understood this, and then we decided our class that for our graduation we should do a trip to Hong Kong. So I contacted the Hong Kong University. I found an email. That's when the webpage came up, and I found an email, and I contacted the person there, and I started exchanging email across the world to prepare ourselves for what's going on in Hong Kong. He prepared himself and two other students there that should greet us when we come there, and when we came there, we met two of them. So I understood that you can connect digitally in a world to make connections.
And that was 94?
93, 94.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I started studying computer development, and I went online with the ERC network and the ICQ, and so some of the first internet relay chat, when you started chatting with people all over the world in chat rooms online. This was before it became web-based. It became web-based in 98, 99, when chat and forums exploded online. But before that, we had internet relay chat, and it's still around today, used by many hackers and gamers.
And looking back over the last 30 years, what digital physical development, what do you see, what patterns, what do you see today?
The ability to talk to people everywhere, and for good or bad. So so we have to what is the story going on here? What are people talking about? What is this chat room about? What is this niche about? What is this Facebook group about? What is this online community about? What are they talking about? What stories are they sharing? What story? How is the discussion? Is it toxic? Is it non-toxic? Is this a good vibes, or is it bad vibes? We both been in the groups where they're both good and bad vibes, and we prefer the good vibes groups. And so how do we propagate and teach people to spread good vibes online. How do we become better digital citizens?
And what are your advice for a person out there who would like to feel that I'm not used to this digital space and they want to start to get into it? So how do you do? How do you go about some first
You become curious. Try find a group that propagates something you stand for. Find a subject that's warm to your heart and stand up for it and make change. The Greta movement is certainly an effect of the network society, and she stood up for something she cared a lot about and spoke out, and it became a global story. She wasn't the first one doing this, but she did it in the right way, and it's both
right time,
right timing, and right amplification and everything. So everything fall into place when she did it. We don't know beforehand what will trigger an effect like this, but if you stand up and you seek a lot, you will certainly find the group online, maybe locally or globally, that are standing for the same principles that you are, and be curious and help them propagate, learn, read, become knowledgeable in your field about what you stand up for. That's part of this. How do you become a key person of influence in your field? How do you become the most read person? How do you spend an extra hour every day reading about the subject you're interested in?
And I think you didn't go that much into that book. Can you tell a bit about it?
Yeah.
How do you become a key person of influence?
How do you become a key person of influence? First,
and why? Why is it?
Yeah, if you want to. Not everyone should be, but you and I are go-to person in our small groups, and we're not global. Elon Musk is a go-to person for electric cars. He's certainly, even if he didn't read his book, he fits all the 5 processes of this. So he called it the 5 P's. So the first one is pitch. That's your story. What story are you, or do you want to be the best of in your niche, in your world? Globally or locally. You can be the best pizza baker in your town, or you can be the best. That's the small example of a local person, and Elon Musk an example of a global person. Everyone thinks electric cars, they think of Elon Musk. So he's the global man, and on the scale between there, you can be the national person, or you can be the regional person in your field or niche, and that means that you have to become very fluent in the things you're interested in. Read a lot, talk a lot, connect, tell, and foremost. And the next process of this is storytelling.
That's the second of 5.
The second, publish. So start your own blog, your own video channel, your audio blog, video blog. Write blog posts, write articles, or write a book about it. That's all these people who have written this book. They're a key person of influence in their field, because once you have a book, you're a go-to person in that field. So, but not everyone is cut out for write books, and not everyone could write books. If there were 7 billion books in the world, no one would have time to read them all. So not everyone. So I've chosen not to write a book so far, because I like talking more than writing. So I talk. But
you write a lot of very good blogs.
But maybe I should write a book. I don't know. But and the next step is
number 3.
Product. This is for entrepreneurs. So how do you make a product of your knowledge? And that is, he has to call it 4 products. You have a free product that you share online with no anything, and you can have a product for prospect, that's a step-in product, and then you have your main product, that's your business product, and then you can have a product for fans or your repeat customers that go hardcore into you, especially if you have a fan base. And the next step is profile. So how do you, once you have your product and your story in place, how do you become more known for what you do? How do you end up in the traditional mass media or a podcast, talking to people about the stuff you do? And that you have to network for, and you have to tell your story. And then the last part is partnership. So you shouldn't, once you go around on a network event, there's the American way of trading over your business card and trying to sell to everyone. You shouldn't do that. You should always seek partnership instead. So how do you seek partners locally or globally in the things you do? Because partnerships in a network society is the way to go. So seek partnerships and network. Help other people out. If you help people, and other people will help you.
You start to build this great pay forward. Yeah, and blogging, I think that is a pretty good way to, because as you can see here on the book, on the table, a lot of books, a lot of knowledge, a lot of insights. How do you make sense of this? How do you put it into practice? You can be a reader because you love reading, but in this case, you also want to change the world for better, and you have a picture of better. So how does blogging come into this?
Blogging is a form of journaling. It's very important. It's how do you learn things? When you read something or hear something, you have to distill that knowledge. You have to reflect on what did you learn, so you can write that down, or you can talk about it. That's called journaling, and people have been doing it. You can write notes, you can write text, you can talk on a video, or you can draw a drawing, whatever makes you reflect on the knowledge you learn. So that's reflection and journaling.
And how do you do it? What's your style?
My style? I can take read an article, or watching a 1 hour YouTube video.
Do you have your book here? I have. It's or maybe the one you write down your.
My notebook. Yeah.
Okay. If it's not far away.
Right here. So I always carry a notebook with me. So I write down things in color.
Yeah.
So stuff like this, I take notes. What did I learn today? I sum up things in a list and stuff like that, so I can connect.
That's the world shift.
That's the world shift, yeah. This is some of the this is for Lift Pakistan, some of the methods, world shift and other methods that I think is important to talk about. So. And this is my list of the human endeavor. I made a video of that. So I make lots of notes of. Ikigai 4.0. That's my own concept. How do you navigate your own life? So I took the Ikigai concept, the Japanese concept. How do you find your meaning? It's connected to this, of course. What's your purpose in the world, and how do you navigate that? So what are you curious about? What are your skills and talents? How do you train your skills and talents? What courses do you go to? What events do you go to? And how do you support yourself in this? What enablers do you need? I call that. Can you get paid? Can you get the work doing this? Do you need someone who becomes your ambassador, that go around telling you people as a publicist or a agent in the Hollywood sense, but what we would call an ambassador today in the network world? Do you have ambassadors that tell people about you? And do you have what's your purpose and meaning in this? What is your life vision? What is your goal? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to help? What problem do you want to solve? It can be a small local problem in your town, or it can be a large global problem like Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. You want to solve. And this Ikigai model, the Japanese model, consists of a number of pieces?
Yeah, 3 pieces. So the original philosophical... as I taught by Motohiro, he told me about this. He said it's 3 parts. Who am I in the world, and who are the world to me, and what story or what part can I play in this interaction of who am I in the world and what is the world to me? And that's what Fyodor and Manuel calls ontological design. Where do I go to further my story, my vision of who I am? And who does the people I meet, the books I read, how do they influence my back, and how do I make sense of that that interaction between me and the world? So this is the original philosophical concept of Ikigai. Then there's the 4, if you have seen the Venn diagram, what's my passion, what are my skills, what do the world need, and what can I get paid for? I don't like that model. That's why I made my 4.0 model instead. Yeah.
And what pieces are in addition, or what pieces did you take? I changed
the one what you can get paid for enablers, because if you want to succeed in this world, you can't just go to a local company and say, hey, can you hire me as Captain Future? And I need a lot. I have put in 10 works of becoming Captain Future, and I can't just go to a local town and hire me. Hey, can I become a Captain Future at your company? Because that didn't work. I found out that the very first 2 years in this process. So I had to think a lot about. I can't just choose a line of payment. If you're a welder or aid work or something like that. You can go to an aid organization and get a traditional job in an aid organization. But I invented my own job myself, and I thought there must be more people than me that can't just go to a local company organization and ask for a job doing what you do. So that's why I expanded this concept, because in the network world we need so much more. We need time, we need support from family, and we need support from friends. We need the right knowledge, the right network to get the work we want to do. So that's a lot more than just what you can get paid for in today's world.
I think these 3 roles, we have spoken a lot about that. It's not enough with connecting. When you have connected dots, you need to facilitate them, and you also need to show the direction where you want to go. So the navigating into the future. Yeah, do you have some more? How often when do the new models arise?
New models?
Or it's like...
we have our future navigation models, and we'll have it somewhere, I don't know what. We talk about the 4 concepts of building. How do you build social capital, and how do you build a local community around a niche or ecosystem in the world? We are in the impact world, so how do you build an ecosystem around an impact concept or an incubator or a place like Catapult or another place? So we studied that place innovation. Carmen Fall called it. So he made a visual model with 4 spiral galaxy arms that are interconnected and rotating. And we call that eventification for how do you facilitate events, journification, how do you facilitate learning and your own journey throughout the world, and we call it amplification, how do you tell stories and amplify yourself and other stories, and unification, how do you build communities and networks and social capital.
And it's sort of a fractal model, the different pieces, and it's also dynamic, so it rotates on. I think it's something like that we will need now in this, to come to the other side of Corona, because there is no clear path. We need to...
We have to navigate our path into a new unknown
territory.
The VUCA world, the volatile, ambiguous, complex, and uncertain.
I see 2 great guys coming in here. Rehan, hello Rehan, and Bobby Fishkin. Is also a fantastic guy in Stanford. And Marcus is coming here, so we have a lot of great people and minds. And that's good with this network, because we have such amazing people who are really, if not world leaders, they are definitely really competent in these different fields of futuring, of organization, navigating, building technologies, methodologies, and so forth. So that's great. So thank you very much for joining this small weekend on the west coast, the southwest coast. It's not the heart of Sweden, that's where I live.
No, this is the very, very southern, the western part of Sweden that facing Denmark. Yeah. And the sea outside it, Kattegat, is a local, it's not the Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea. So it's less salt than the North Sea and Atlantic. Yeah. We call it the Kattegat Sea.
Yeah. Maybe we can end with this, one of your favorite songs. Since Rehan is here, he has his own...
He made his own video version of When is the Future.
Yeah. So Rehan, you can share your song later, When is the Future. I think you are still there. And have a great...
and we... Digital Together is the thing we came up to yesterday. So it's not social distancing, it's only physical distancing, but we stay together digitally, socially. Using social media and other tools, Zoom, WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. Use every tool you have to connect the world. So digitally together, we could come out from this crisis. So when is the future? It's not the video.
And if you're in San Francisco, you should join Bobby Fishkin there. He has his fantastic walks and hikes there, where you will meet great people and
Yes.
Okay. So see you soon.
See you soon. Bye everyone. We love you.